Welcome back to Just Win Bets, baby. I'm joined here with my main man, Shano Mack. Shano, we have, of course, Game 6 of the NHL playoffs, where the Florida Panthers, of course, we're hoping to have them, finish it out. Let's really be honest, and that's what you suggested earlier. Your thoughts on that game, right, real quick, before we jump into the NFC North schedule.
I mean, yeah. If anybody watched Game 5, so the series was split 2-2. In Game 5, they were in Toronto, and everybody thought, all right, maybe the Leafs will come back, and because so far every home team won each game, and then Florida put a mollywhopping on them and just straight out destroyed them. It was a 6-1 was the final score. And I think Maple Leafs showed some signs of the Leafs are known for choking away playoff series.
Right.
And there's some signs were showing there. So I was like, I think Florida ends this tonight back at Florida in Game 6. Second period just started. It's still 0-0. Most of these elimination games have been going on. The unders have been huge. I did not play the under tonight, but I should have. Looking at it now.
Yeah, clearly.
This game, other than this game, it's been a very high scoring series.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But it's 0-0 now. But I think Florida does wrap it up today. Some other quick prop bets we had was Bobrovsky, the goalie for the Panthers, to have over saves on 22.5 saves.
Right.
He's hit that in every game but one game this series. And Brad Marchand to have a point this game. He's averaging over a point a game in this series. So and it was still plus money. I don't know how it was still plus money.
Yeah.
Averaging over a point a game, but it was.
That's crazy.
That's a quick
update
of NHL for tonight.
Yeah, what are the shots on goal there? It looks like 7-4 with Toronto up a little bit. So Florida's going to have to pick that up a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. They'll have to pick it up. Florida will get to it. They've had more shot attempts. They showed earlier they had more shot attempts, just not as much on goal. So it's either Toronto laying it out because it's an elimination game and blocking those shots, or they've just been off. But Toronto's leading in block shots right now, so I think that's leading into it because I know that they're in a do or die situation right now.
A lot's happening in the sports world, as you can see on the bottom. The guys in the studio has been working on this diligently when we come to the MLS schedule. So you can see here, folks, on the bottom of your screen there, the odds are starting to come in there. The WNBA, of course, started tonight, so we have a total of 3 games, but 2 have already started. And as you can see behind me, the ticker, they're updating as well. So a lot that's going on here, Shano, but this is what they paid us for. They paid to talk about the NFL, the big boys. So let's jump right into the NFC North. And we start off with the defending division champs, the Detroit Lions. So the Detroit Lions, of course, have a bye in week number 8. So they have a total of 7 games prior to that, and this is how it goes for them. They have, of course, you can see the preseason. The guys in the studio have updated that for us. So they have 3 preseason games of the Atlanta Falcons, the Miami Dolphins, and the Houston Texans. And then, of course, they jump right into the season. With September 7th, week 1, it is a primetime, well, not a primetime game, but a national televised game, at Green Bay, home against the Chicago Bears, and then on a Monday night, at the Baltimore Ravens. So that's going to be tough right there. Then they go to Cleveland, and then they have 3 straight home games before the bye. So they'll be taking that will take place at Ford Stadium, home against the Cincinnati Bengals. Again, a nationally televised game on Fox. Then they have a Sunday night game against Kansas City, and then a Monday night football game. Wow. So an 8-day difference there against the Tampa Bay Bucks. I'm looking at this right here with the departure of the 2 coordinators now becoming head coaches, one for the Bears and one for the Jets. It's going to be rough. I say 3-5.
That's a pretty tough schedule to start off the gate, right? Packers are a damn good team, right? Bears, everybody's is expecting to improve. This is first of all, the toughest division last year in sports, right? Every team was battling for that NFC North championship all the way into the end. Especially the Packers, Vikings, and Lions were for sure were, right? So Packers are good. Bears, everybody's expecting to improve. Ravens are the Ravens. They're the Ravens. They're good. They still have Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry who are going to run all over you. And then the Bengals can score with anybody. Chiefs are the Chiefs. That's a pretty tough schedule to start it off the first 7 weeks. And the Bucks are a good squad too.
Yeah, and it's not just that. It is at Baltimore. So on a Monday Night Football, I mean, that's where Lamar, comes out of the bathroom and then, he puts on a show. So
sure. And then, like you said, losing both of your coordinators in the same year, that's tough, and it's going to take some time for them to adjust. And I think that's going to show, especially like that week 1 against the Packers. I expect the Packers to win that game coming out the gate, and that because of those like early struggles that come with losing both of those coordinators.
So after the bye, of course, prior to the bye, they had 3 favorable home games, so there's not that much travel. Then after the bye, they still stay at home. They host the Minnesota Vikings in week 9. Then they go 2 away games before another 3-game home stretch at Washington, at Philadelphia Eagles on a Sunday night. Then they have those 3 home games, home against the Giants, home against the Green Bay Packers, home against the Dallas Cowboys on a Thursday night. Then they have at the LA Rams, home against the Pittsburgh Steelers, so they don't have to travel in that cold weather as we talked about in a previous video. Then they have at Minnesota on Christmas. That's where Netflix is going to jump in. So make sure you update that subscription.
Does the NFL hate the Lions families? Like they don't get Thanksgiving or Christmas with their families?
I think so. So you're taking them away from
a Thanksgiving game and a Christmas game. No family time.
Right, no family time. Thanksgiving and Christmas. Wow. And then they end the season home TBD against the Chicago Bears. So that was that quick plug from for Netflix. But let's go back here. We have a total of after the bye, we had a total of 10 games. I see it as wow, this is tough, man.
They have a tough overall schedule this year. I mean, that's expected when you're the number 1 team. You play that number 1 schedule, right? So the schedule improves, and this is a tough one. I even though they're my Commanders or my Washington team, they're my favorite team. I think they win that game, only because I think Dan Campbell's going to be banging that in their head, like, hey, remember these guys beat us in the playoffs last year when we were the number 1 seed. I think we're going to do all this stuff, right? So I think he's gonna be banging that in their heads like early, like even in training camp. So I could see them beating Washington. But yeah, they have a tough schedule.
I see them going. Ugh. Wow, 7-10.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be a slip back for them.
Yeah.
I think they're more in like the 8 or 9 win range, but
right.
It's not. They're not gonna have. What would they have last year? 13 wins? 14 wins?
Yep.
14.
Yeah. 14
wins. Yeah. So yeah, definitely a year where they're going to step back, and that's a tough schedule to go through.
Absolutely. Let's jump into the Minnesota Vikings right here, folks. You can see the schedule on your screen. They have that early bye in week 6, but let's cover the first 5 games for them. But also in the preseason, I appreciate the guys in the studio updating that. They've got 3 preseason games, just like everybody else. The Houston Texans, New England Patriots, and, of course, the Tennessee Titans. Then they have the 5 games, one of them being on Monday night against, and it'll be at the Chicago Bears. So that's going to be one of those great games on Monday night, right to start off the season. 2 home games back-to-back here. We have Atlanta Falcons on the Sunday night game. So they have 2 right off the bat prime-time games. Home against the Cincinnati Bengals in week 3. Then they have 2 away games right before the bye. But these are 2, when we say away, it's far away. They have to go 1 in London and 1 in Dublin. Where Dublin they are host. They will be the away team against the Pittsburgh Steelers. And then they go to England, and they are the away team there, literally, against the Cleveland Browns. Your thoughts on those first 5 games?
I think that playing two games back to back in Europe is challenging. for sure. I'm assuming that they're going to fly out there and stay out there.
Yeah.
But sometimes that helps teams too, because that's when like teams bond and that camaraderie comes together. Like speaking of with like Washington, I remember when they had a couple of West Coast games in a row last year. Do you remember they stayed out on the West Coast all together?
Yep.
And the team really said that helped them bond and become like a real true team.
Yeah.
So I think that it could work to the beneficial to them, to their benefit, but we'll see how it goes. That's tough. Just off the bat, Bears, Falcons, Bengals. On paper, if you're looking at like strength of schedule compared to last year, none of those teams made the playoffs. So last year, so the strength schedule might look easier than the Lions. But I think the Bengals we've talked about a bunch. It's not their offense, it's their defense. It's a shootout, and I don't know if the Vikings can keep up with them with JJ McCarthy at quarterback. Well, who knows if he can or not, right? We don't have enough sample size to tell.
Right, and especially he's coming off that surgery from last year that took his season in the preseason, so he should be ready to go. But we'll wait for reports from minicamp and of course training camp later this year. After the bye, they have a tough one. They host the Philadelphia Eagles. Then they have 2 away games at the Chargers and then at, of course, the Detroit Lions. Then they have 2 home games. Home against the Baltimore Ravens, home against the Chicago Bears. Then they have 2 away games. Green Bay Packers at Seattle, which we all know as a Washington fan, it's very tough to play in Seattle.
That's a Sam Darnold revenge game too.
Absolutely. Home against
Sam Darnold was their quarterback last year, and then they shipped him off or didn't want to re-sign him. And he signed with Seattle, so he's going to be amped for that game, guaranteed.
Yep. Absolutely. Home against the Washington Skins, as I call them. On a Sunday night game at the Dallas Cowboys, at the New York Giants, and then the last 2 games, they're both at home. They too play on Christmas. We just talked about with the Detroit Lions, so they'll be home hosting the Lions. That'll be a 4:30 kickoff only on Netflix, so make sure you subscribe to Netflix and don't miss out for that particular game. And then they wrap the season up home against the Green Bay Packers. Right off the bat, Shano, I got to say, they got that early bye. That might bite them. That really will. So,
yeah, that's a super early bye, but it kind of makes sense because they're in England for at least 2 weeks. I'm sure they're going to probably fly out shortly after that Bengals game,
right,
and be out there probably closer to 3 weeks. So it makes sense because they're coming back from England. Unlike we talked about in our last video about the Jets who are coming back and have to play it again right after being in London. At least they get some of that adjustment time back to get back and not be jet lagged and all that stuff.
Yeah. So I see them splitting one of those 2 games to probably take care of the Browns or vice versa with the Pittsburgh Steelers. What is your overall record for the Minnesota Vikings here? Now, remember, we talked about it where McCarthy's now allegedly or we're assuming that he's going to be the starting quarterback. What's your thoughts?
He's basically a rookie quarterback. So, it's an unknown, right? Most rookies struggle, right? Especially early on in the season. And then most rookies, it's kind of like a bell curve. I feel like they struggle and then they slowly start building up. And then they're like, all right, he starts doing well. And then defense coordinators say, all right, we found out what he does well. Boom, let's take that away. And then they crash back down near the end of this year.
Yeah.
So it's tough. They're not going to be as good as last year. They're not going to be battling for the NFC North, I don't think. And where they had 14 wins, like last season.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that the team is still solid. They have a decent defense. They still have Justin Jefferson, right? They still have a pretty good run game. But I see them probably. I don't know. I feel like I'm going 8-9 a lot, but this like I did with the Lions there.
Yeah.
But about in that same range, 8-9 wins.
I looked at it as 7-10, 8-9 as well. So we shall see what happens, and that's why they play the game. Let's move forward to the Green Bay Packers. As you can see on the screen, folks, we have the Green Bay Packers. They have their 3 preseason game. They'll be playing the Jets, Colts, and the Seattle Seahawks. So they too have a very early bye. Their bye is at week 5, Shano. But they start off with the Detroit Lions at home against on a Thursday night. So a 4-day, grace period there until they face the Washington Skins there. Then they have, of course, at Cleveland on a Sunday night at the Dallas Cowboys. So 2 out of their 4 right before the bye is on prime time.
Yeah, and I mean the Lions. I mean, it's a division game, right? Lions. They were a great team last year. Like I told you earlier, I think the Packers will win that game just because they have the consistency. They didn't lose 2 coordinators, but then playing the Commanders on a short week, and then the Browns. The Browns. Who knows what's going to happen there? The Cowboys, I feel like are going to improve this year too. When we made our NFC East video, like you said that you could see them maybe winning the NFC East champion, being the NFC East champs, and they had the best odds and maybe the best one to play. And I think they're going to be improved, especially if Dak is healthy. That was their big thing last year, and he should be healthy by week 4.
So after the bye, their early bye, which might cost the Green Bay Packers here later on with injuries, etc. We're hoping not, but you never know. It is, of course, football. They stay after the bye. They go home. They stay home against the Cincinnati Bengals. That'll be a national televised game for them on CBS. Then they go 2 away games at the Cardinals and then at the Steelers on a Sunday night game. So that is their 3rd primetime game for the Green Bay Packers. Then, of course, they have home against the Carolina Panthers. Their 4th, primetime game will be Monday night, home against the Philadelphia Eagles. So you definitely want to look for that game. Mark that on your calendar, folks. At the New York Giants, home against the Minnesota Vikings, at the Detroit Lions, home against the Chicago Bears. Then they go another nationally televised game, which will be at the Denver Broncos. That'll be back-to-back 2 televised game because they play on my birthday, the Chicago Bears, so they have to travel in Chicago. But no need to worry about the weather because they are, of course, the Green Bay Packers. Then they, of course, finish the season, which is, of course, TBD. We don't know yet. But it'll be home against the Baltimore Ravens. That's something that Lamar is not going to like that. And then at the Minnesota Vikings. So a very long stretch, Shano. What are your thoughts on that?
The early bye really concerns me for the Packers. And I'll tell you why. The last 2 seasons, Jordan Love has looked really good. He's looked like a legit starter in this league. But he's been banged up each year. Like he missed two games last year with an injury. And then that's a long stretch of games for him. And that's what concerns me the most about them.
I honestly, I agree. There's no question about it. I agree with you. But for the Green Bay Packers, this is a very, very tough schedule. The good news is for the Packers, they don't need to go overseas, like a team like Washington or Miami, etc. But I see the Packers,
and that's like I'm looking at the stretch of games here.
Yep.
That like that last couple weeks of the season where they're going at Denver, which is always a tough place to play.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah,
they're playing at the Lions on Thanksgiving. Maybe they'll figure out their coordinator problems then. Like I said, they'll probably win week 1. That one I could see going either way as of now, right? Broncos are improving, right? With Bo Nix looked pretty good with Sean Payton. That's a tough game, and Denver's always hard to play in,
right?
And then like you said, Ravens, but at least that's at home for them. That's a pretty tough stretch. It's a tough schedule. The NFC North is all of them so far have more challenging schedules than the other 2 the conferences we have gone through, I think.
And it is definitely a tough schedule, and they might split the Bears. They got the Eagles on Monday night in Week 10. I see 6-11. I hate to say it, maybe a 7-9, but I mean I feel like a broken record here. I don't. I agree. The bye really hurts them. I think they got the short end of the stick there on the bye. But again, the Bears have improved. The Lions, who knows, but definitely Denver has improved. Philadelphia is Philadelphia, as we know. And look out for Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals. So it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough for them.
Oh, for sure. They're definitely going to be tough. I see him slightly higher than you. I'm pretty high. I like Jordan Love's game. I think he's a pretty solid quarterback. Mm-hmm. But I feel like just like you, I feel like a broken record with this division. It's going to be a tight division again, but with just a lower score, a little win total. Like It was the the three teams we've talked about so far were all competing all the way up to like week 16, 17, and then like the Vikings and Lions actually had a play-in game pretty much to win the division, right? So and week 18 last year. But I don't think it's I think it's going to be just as close, but not high win totals. They're all going to be around 8-9, somewhere around there wins.
We move to the Chicago Bears. And you know what? They may have a shot. I think I'm drinking the Kool-Aid a little early here, but they might have a shot at winning the division. We're going to get the odds up as I talk about the schedule for the Chicago Bears. They have 3 preseason games, and they're tough preseason games with tough teams. The Miami Dolphins, the Buffalo Bills, and the Kansas City Chiefs. That being said, we jump right into the Bears' schedule, but just like the Packers, they have an early bye in week 5. Monday Night Football, home against the Minnesota Vikings, at the Detroit Lions. So back-to-back division games right there. Then home against on a nationally televised game against the Dallas Cowboys. At another nationally televised game at the Las Vegas Raiders. Then they have the bye. So 2 nationally televised games there and a primetime game, Shano, for the first 4 games.
Yeah. And then the main question we have with the Bears, at least I do, is how does Ben Johnson, how is he as a head coach?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
He was a great offense coordinator in Detroit, but great coordinators don't always turn out to be good head coaches.
That's true.
So it'll be interesting to see how he plays out. Was it Dan Campbell holding the ship together up there in Detroit, or can he do it on his own? So that's something to look forward to. And then to go along with that, you have Caleb Williams, who has all the talent and potential in the world. How is he going to adapt to learning a new offense in his second year and all the terminology and everything he has to do? So I expect a little bit of a slower start for the Bears. I do think they're going to be better than last year, but I think it's going to take a couple weeks for them to hit their stride.
The Bears at plus 425 to win the NFC North. But again, we talked about a tight division there. The favorite, of course, is the Detroit Lions at plus 140. Then comes the Packers at 260, according to DraftKings here. And then the Minnesota Vikings at plus 400. And as I just told you, the Chicago Bears at plus 425. May do a little pizza on that. But let's continue with the schedule here, Shano. We have, when they come back out of the bye, the Chicago Bears, again, has to go to our beloved Washington Skins on a Monday Night Football. Then they go home. They come back home, host the New Orleans Saints. Then it's 2 away games. At the Baltimore Ravens, at the Cincinnati Bengals, home against the Giants, at Minnesota. It's a long stretch, Shano. I'm telling you right now. A home against the Pittsburgh Steelers, at Philadelphia, at Green Bay. It's looking tough. Home against Cleveland, home against Green Bay again, so that's their second time that they face Green Bay. And then at the San Francisco 49ers will be a Sunday night game on December 28th. And then home against, which could determine if you guys are looking at the Chicago Bears as possibly winning the division with that Week 18 home against the Detroit Lions. Wow.
That is a long stretch.
Very
I mean, that's an early bye. That's going to come back. That's the same thing we said with the Packers too.
Yep.
Because the Packers are Week 5 bye as well. So like that is just such a long stretch of games to go to end the season with. Some games there that I like, the one I'll just highlight.
Right.
Is just of course against Washington last year. If you guys remember, that was the Hail Mary game, right? So the Bears thought they had that game wrapped up, and then Jaden scrambled around and pulled some magic out of his hat and threw it downfield, and Commanders won. That's going to be a big one. Obviously, both games against the Lions are going to be big. Ben Johnson playing against his former team, right?
Right.
I don't know. Did Eminem ever write that diss rap he was going to do against them? Do you remember that when he said, like, if you leave, I was going to...
Exactly. Exactly. What are your overall record for this? I will go first. This could be it's like it's either they come back strong, from what they were before, or it's the Bears, literally the Bears. So it could go. Uh, I would say because of Ben Johnson, etc. If Caleb listens and does, you know, and really works on doing his homework in the film room, it could be an 11-6 team. However, based on paper, 7-10.
That's where I have them, 7-10. For me personally, I think based on for the whole division as a whole, I'm thinking Packers are going to be the champs.
Right.
I kind of like their odds right now too at plus 260. It might change more, but I don't bet on futures this far out because who knows what can happen.
Sure.
But based on going through all their schedules, I like the Packers. But the only thing that scares me, like I told you, is that early bye, and the same thing with the Bears here. That bye is super early, and then playing 12 games in a row, 13 games in a row, 13 games in a row. That's a tough stretch.
Yeah. So we wrap this up here, folks. We'll come back together here. We wrap that up of the NFC North. Next time we will cover, of course, the AFC North. And we still have a few more divisions to cover, but let's get an update here with the hockey. Shayna, what do we have?
Still 0-0. Good thing is like what you talked about, the shots on goal. Florida is now leading in. Like I told you, they were leading in shot attempts.
Right.
But now they are leading. Toronto's currently on a power play about to end. About 1:30 left in the second period, still 0-0. So it's still close. We need Tampa to break through here and score one.
Absolutely.
Not Tampa, sorry, Florida.
Yeah.
I was thinking of NFL there, pulling out.
Exactly.
Florida Panthers break through one, get one.
It'd be so much easier if they just keep the cities, just the same, Tampa Bay. But
I still have Tampa. Florida plays just outside of Miami. They play down there.
Right.
And then Tampa's the Lightning, but I don't know what I was thinking. Tampa. I think they're just talking NFL schedule, and then there's no. Why don't they call them the Miami Panthers? That'd be so much easier.
Absolutely. So that wraps up our edition of the. Go ahead, Chino.
Oh, I was just gonna say, just don't forget, check out our X and Twitter page. WNBA season just started. So we have some picks out for today for that, and more coming, right?
Absolutely. I talked to Murph this morning, and she's got a lot of picks. She did some player props for it. She didn't really go into the MVP, etc., but she did tell me this: a team that won't probably win a game until July. And she's talking about the Connecticut Sun. They're struggling big time. I don't see them winning a game either. I think they'll win a game maybe sometime in the end of June or what have you, but right before 4th of July. But yeah, they're struggling big time. But we shall see. That's why they play the game.
Yep.
So next time, again, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and hit that like. We would really appreciate it. We're trying to get the news out there for everybody. But when we come back, guys, we'll cover the AFC North and other divisions. But until next time, we are Joe the Fan, and that's Shane O'Mac from Just Win Bets Baby, and we will be back shortly. Take care.